Well, let's talk a bit about, I guess, albatrosses, birds flying. It is no secret that you are a pilot, of course, and you are bringing the band to Australia and other parts of the world as well on the new Boeing 757, the Maiden plane. I don't think there's a name for it as yet. And
I think we're going to run a competition
to name the plane.
Yeah, I think so. We'll just. I don't know whether people can suggest it, and then we can pick the best names, and then we'll stick it all in a hat and get people to vote for it on the internet or something. Obviously, Aces High has got to be one of them, the potential ones.
Well, I was thinking of a few names today, actually.
Yeah, I actually quite like. I quite like the idea of calling it Phantom of the Opera.
That Air Bruce.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't. Yeah. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a maiden name.
Yeah, of course. But you are the man of the steering the ship. You deserve more props than the others.
Yeah. No, I get enough name checks anyway, so I don't want me splattered on the side of the aeroplane as well.
Well, let's talk about your flying. I mean, you're doing regular flights, because it is the Bruce Dickinson day job. Aside from Maiden, now I've just recently returned from a bit of an overseas jaunt myself, taking in China and parts of Europe as well. And I've often noticed a lot of captains when they get on the microphone, and this is your captain speaking. Kind of just straight down the line, a little bit dull. And, like I said, listening to your radio show quite heavily, you're very, very animated on the airwaves. What is your tone when you do talk to the passengers before the jet takes off? I mean, I don't know how you'd hold yourself back.
Obviously. I also do a radio show for every now and again for Radio 2.
Yep.
Which is, it's the biggest. It's like 20 million listeners or something in the UK, and it's a bit more middle of the road. So we do like a classic rock show, and the tone of that is a bit more chilled out. the stuff I do on Six Music, I can go a bit mad. They like it if you go really kind of a bit over the edge.
Well, that's what you do. That's why I enjoy listening to it.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, great. We can really go nuts on this. Radio 2 has to be a bit more like, yeah, folks, jazz. And when it comes to talking to passengers over the PA or anything else like that, you have to take account of the fact that not everybody likes the idea of a wild and crazy guy in charge of it.
Yeah, true. I'd find it entertaining.
There are some people, quite a lot of people who are quite nervous, as passengers, and need reassurance, and not only that. I mean, if you're travelling and you have your family and small kids and everything else.
Yeah, I guess being used to your personality from the countless shows I've watched of Maiden on tape trading and bootlegs, and even your radio show being obviously, like I said, quite zany, that I just thought it'd be hard to sort of have you hold back.
No, I try. I try and make the PAs. I try and make the PAs, interesting and conversational.
Yeah.
But you have to get some essential points across. Actually, the only real essential points you have to get across is the stuff about the safety briefing.
Yeah.
And about keeping your seatbelt fastened whilst you're at your seat. And it being a non-smoking flight. So those are the only guaranteed bits. All the rest of it is settling people, telling them how long the flight's going to be, where you're going to go, how high you're going to go, all that kind of stuff. And some people are interested in that. Some people actually don't give a stuff. They're like, I'm not going to look out the window. I can't see anything anyway. So, who cares if we're going across Central Europe? Of course we are, because we wouldn't get there if we didn't go that way.
Exactly.
So I try and come up with PAs that make people go, yeah, they pay attention to it because you phrase things in slightly different ways.
But when the Maiden jet, yet to be named, takes off, I'm sure that's a totally different PA announcement with the whole Maiden band and the crew and everybody else on that jet when you, of course, put the jet in full throttle and take off.
Well, yeah, I mean, with the thing is, if you're a professional pilot, then there's a few things that that you want to observe just basic professionalism.
Yeah.
It's a bit like, when you're a professional musician, just because you're playing in front of a bunch of other musicians doesn't mean that, you can have the whole thing out of tune because, hey, they know you can play anyway, so what the heck?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with being a pilot, even though we're going to be flying on the same plane every day, there's going to be a safety briefing every flight. It is going to be conducted by the cabin crew, and they are going to get all the same announcements, and they are going to get the same safety demo, and we're not going to turn around and say, you did this yesterday, guys, you don't need to see this today, because we're a professional flight crew, and that's what we do.
Awesome. Well, let's check out those tour dates. Of course, the first show kicks off on Monday, the 4th of February at the Burswood Dome in Perth. There's Wednesday, the 6th at the Rod Laver Arena in Melbourne. Saturday, the 9th at the Acer Arena in Sydney. And the 12th of Feb at the Entertainment Centre in Brisbane. Looks like there's quite a few days off in between. Hopefully some room to move for maybe a few extra Maiden shows. We'll see how things go. But
extra Maiden shows?
Yeah, let's lock them in.
Who'd have thought it? I could quite do with I suppose a couple of days off in Sydney. I could cover myself in shark bait and swim across Sydney Harbour, or we could do an extra show if the thing's sold out. I know which I'd rather do.
The shark stuff?
No. I got myself into trouble there when I first went to Sydney, actually.
Oh, really?
It was a couple of us, the worse for wear after a couple of bottles of red wine, decided to take a rubber boat and row out in the middle of the harbour in the middle of the night. And we got called back where somebody was yelling, "Shark!" I don't know if it was true or not, but we rowed back pretty quick. Young and stupid, so hey,
Well, some things don't change, and that's a good thing. But thanks so much for your time, Bruce. It's fantastic news that the band are finally making it their way back to Oz. The whole nation is completely chuffed.
Yeah.
And we can get you to choose, I guess, one of your favourite Maiden tracks that we will expect to hear in the Monstrous set once you hit Oz in Feb 08.
Well, okay, I think it's got to be this one then. A bit of a clue, I suppose, that we're certainly not going to play this one at the end of the show. Aces High.
Awesome. Well, let's lock this in and let's check out some Iron Maiden right now. Thanks for your time, Bruce.
Cheers, mate.
Here's Iron Maiden on Triple J.